Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to BCL Beyond the Boundary with myself, Simon Booth. I'm delighted to have Danny Delvard here, cricket manager from Tonge Cricket Club. Hi, Danny.
Hello, Simon.
How you doing, mate? You okay?
All right, thank you.
Good, good. Very, very nice setting behind you there.
Oh, that's the suburban setting of Horwich.
Lovely, happy days. Thanks for spending a bit of time to obviously chat with me. Obviously, I've been trying to get hold of you for a few days, and I've not been available. You've not been available, so thank you for taking a bit of time up to speak to us. So we'll dive straight in if that's all right.
Absolutely fine.
There'll be people watching this who obviously don't know me and you from Adam. I know I've appeared on a few of these videos so far, but you know, people forget me, no problem. I just want you to sort of introduce yourself, a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your playing career, and what your current status at Tonge is with regards to backroom staff involvement, you know, that sort of thing.
No problem. Well, I'm Danny Delvard, as you've just recently introduced. Some people do take the mick and tell me I look like Johnny Vegas, but I can categorically tell you that I'm not Johnny. I started playing cricket in the 80s, believe it or not. I know I don't look that old. And I played Albany junior cricket with Astley Bridge and went through the junior ranks there all the way through to representing them at first team level, sporadically, albeit. And then, for whatever reasons, I had a change. I went to Horwich for a season, joined Eagley, and then I dropped out of the game for about 15 years. And that was basically due to work, family, and also a little bit of fell out of love with the game, so to speak, for one reason or another. And then when I turned 40, drunken conversation, 10 pints deep, and I got talked into helping Tonge out in the second team when they were short, and they've been short every week for the last 6 years. So,
at least you know you're getting a game.
Yeah, absolutely. So from there, then after 1 year, it's no secret, club was struggling, went through some difficult times in its existence, and Paul asked me if I would captain the first team, and I just explained to him that if I was to do it, I'd be doing it properly, and you know, my ultimate aim was to take Tonge from where it was, which was absolute, you know, bottom of the league, not won in a few years, with the aim of making them better through a progressive period of time.
Yeah, okay. Thanks for that. Thank you very much. So I've got a set of questions that I've asked most clubs so far and representatives. So I just wanted to sort of ask you the same sort of things. After a period of time, I'm going to have to change these questions because people are getting used to them now. But essentially, it's not about the questions. It's about the club. It's about the people I'm speaking to. It's about Tonge Cricket Club today. It's not about anybody else. And essentially, everyone's got their own importances, their own nuances in terms of the clubs, how they're run, how they're funded. So it's just interesting to hear from everybody. So I make no apologies. The questions are going to be the same, but your answers will be totally different, and that's what it's all about. So first question is, what was your club's plans for 2020 season in terms of players? Obviously, club improvements. You know, Tonge have been quite active on social media in regards to what they've done, so I want you to explain through that. And then obviously, what sort of things that you should have had in your calendars that's not been able to take place?
Okay, no problem. Well, we'll start with what we had in the calendars that couldn't take place and stuff that did take place. So, one of the plans for 2020 was to make us financially stronger and make us financially stable and sustainable for a longer period of time. And you know, it's no secret, each club relies on its revenues, its events, and it's all about focus and what effort you put in is ultimately what you get out. We'd had some dialogue, we spoke about your comedy nights, and we ran one, and it was just before the lockdown. And that comedy night, in terms of turnover, generated in turnover over £4,500. Wow. Now, obviously, we took 50% of that to the profit line. And what that demonstrated to me and to the rest of the committee is if we focused on certain things, we can actually make a difference. Yeah. So we do have another one in the pipeline in October. We have lost event bookings through the lockdown, which that's just the way the mop flops. And so therefore, I've looked to source different funding pots, because a lot of my work in the past has been working on funding applications in both my professional career and obviously for Tonge. From a player's point of view, we were lucky enough to retain all our players. We did make one signing in probably about February time. The paperwork went through, it lasted 24 hours, and then we'll use the word got gazumped by a different club. So, I'm not going to expose that player. We had an open, honest dialogue, and that was fine. So our plans really were we weren't looking at promotion, so to speak, because we're in the division that's got the reduced amount of teams.
Yeah.
What we wanted to do each year was be better than we were the year before, and I think that's an indicator. If you can be better than the year before, whether that's in terms of attitude, results, performance, then you're moving in the right direction.
Absolutely.
Because only one team can win the league, only one team can win the cup, and why would you not want to be involved in really competitive and edgy games? I think they're the best games for me. I know you have to lose a few to win a few, but I do like that, and I've tried to bring that into the club. So that was the plan for 2020.
So, a wise man once said to me, you don't learn anything by getting something right and winning. You learn by losing. And I think that is definitely one of the cases in league cricket that, it's all right winning. It's fantastic. Winning, everyone loves winning. But as soon as you lose one, that's when you start learning lessons about yourself, your teams, and how you can go forward. So, that's great. Obviously, the current situation we find ourselves in, we're not able to meet up, we're not able to practice, and I know that Tonge have a really good sort of social setup at the moment with the sort of demographic that you've got in the first team. Question to you is, obviously, how's the current situation hit the club in terms of juniors and seniors? Okay,
so from a seniors point of view, it's in a very strange way brought us together, whereby some lads have been furloughed, and therefore, after the DIY and spending time with the family, and they decided to come and do a bit of grounds work, and obviously maintaining social distance. And we've had teams of 10, 12, 14 people working on the ground, and it's looking better than it's ever done in the last 10 to 15 years, I would argue, as it stands right here and now.
Well,
those players that couldn't contribute physical time have financially contributed in donations towards some of the materials, along with other former players. So it's brought the seniors together such that we're all very hungry now. The desire to play cricket has grown stronger, and I think missing it a little bit has been no bad thing.
When you take away something that people pine for it even more, and that's what's happened with this. You take away that game that we all love to hate. Cricket again, and and some. Listen, I love my cricket, I live for it, but there comes a time where sometimes you've got to think, well, is all this effort worth it? But we've had it taken away from us now, and we're all pining for it.
Yeah, having dropped out of the game for nearly 15 years, I live to regret that, because I enjoyed it. And when I came back, although I know physically my body can't do what it did 25 years ago, mentally, and I think I can. And obviously we all know that I can't. But if you've missed it for such a long time, you don't want to miss the valuable years that you've got ahead of you. It's a short season, and it can be a long career. In respect to the juniors, last year we amalgamated with Darcy Lever Cricket Club, the junior section, and that worked quite well for both clubs, I would argue. Both all junior teams were represented and on a regular basis without the need to forfeit games, which is a good thing. And we were looking at doing that this year, obviously. In the winter, we had 20, 22 kids turning up for nets, and I was following Farnworth myself on the Facebook, looking at your junior sessions that you've been running. And I suppose it's wanting to aspire to be like that. What is it that makes us do these things? We've not kept in massive contact with the juniors through this lockdown, which I think is a little bit of an oversight and something I'm going to address. And that's probably based on the questions that you've presented, because it is important. So that was our plan, really. We were going to have teams at all levels, with the exception of under 18. And, we were looking forward to a good competitive year of cricket.
Yeah. You mentioned something about the junior setup. I was looking at sort of Falmouth's, our social media at Falmouth has never been as good, and I do a lot of it, don't get me wrong, but there's a team behind me as well. I couldn't do it all on my own. So there's 3 or 4 of us who put that together, just to try and show people what we're all about, the junior setup. And accidentally, we fell on something now where we have a closed Facebook group with all the parents and kids on that we've had from 4 or 5 years ago. And now, because we've got the situation, we can quite easily keep in contact with our kids and parents. And it's been, I'd love to stand here and say, oh, I did it because I thought about it. I didn't. I fell on it totally by accident. But it, like you say, it's an oversight on your behalf. I think 80% of clubs would struggle to keep in constant contact with the kids and adults, given the current time. So it's something that I think we should all look at for the future.
Yeah, I agree.
Moving swiftly on, we're going to chat about pros and overseas. Now, obviously, coming from the 80s yourself, you've seen pros in the 80s and the 90s and the noughties and the current and what have you. So I'm going to ask you 2 questions. One, in terms of professionals and overseas amateurs for Tonge and how they perceive that to be. And then my second question, or a slant on that, will be, what's the importance of having them or not having them?
Okay, well, I'll start with the importance. My belief and the club's belief at Tonge is that the pro situation, having a pro, brings a level of improved cricket. It brings a level of excitement. And, the lads want to be around the pro. They want to train like the pro. They don't want to let the pro down. And ultimately, if the pro fails, they all know they've got to step up and replace what he would have taken either from a wicket point of view or a runs point of view.
Spot on, yeah.
And people will have their own views. That's fine. But you only have to look at the league handbook and look at the quality and the kudos of the professionals that have represented clubs in the Bolton League over time and man. And you just think, wow, there's some top-class cricketers there. You mentioned the first pro I played with was Dean Moore. Now, Dean didn't really make anything of himself, but the family that he came from, you don't have to look at it and think, wow. The first overseas I played with was Ian Harvey. What he's achieved.
Yeah, they don't think better than that, do they?
No, they don't. And I'd love to say that I played alongside him and was a key figure in the team, but I wasn't. It was all about them. But I do think, I look at the pros that Tonge have had throughout the years. Sikandar, Nizar, arguably 2 of the highest achieving pros in the Bolton League, I would argue.
Yeah, undoubtedly, yeah.
Obviously, Adil still plays for it. I think he's at Little Lever.
Little Lever, yeah, still Little Lever.
So he's still going strong. And we've recognised that pros are important, but we've also got to be realistic and think, what can we get within our playing budget? And ultimately, our playing budget only extends to the pro. That might not be the case for other clubs. That's entirely up to them. I'm not here to knock other clubs. I'm here to talk about Tonge. But our whole playing budget goes on the pro. We had Tilly from Sri Lanka, Tilly Malshan, for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Belting, came across as a boy, stayed here as a man, and he's gone on to join Astley Bridge. And we wish him all the best. And what we were looking forward to really was playing against Tilly. Against Astley Bridge as a local rival as well. But we've got a new pro in Hasham Gamindu. He comes from Sri Lanka.
What do you get on Scrabble for that?
I tell you what, telling it right would be a challenge. But he's played for the last 2 seasons in Yorkshire. Excuse me. He's a batsman, and ultimately, Tonge for the last 4 or 5 years, and probably for the next 4, 5, 10 years, will probably always look for a batting pro.
Okay.
The overseas, we've got an overseas this year, a lad called Daniel Baker. He comes from Perth, Western Australia, and he works at the Wacker as on the ground staff. And he was coming last year, but had an injury, so he's coming this year. We've had lockdown, Whether he gets here, who knows? Could be the greatest overseas amateur we've never seen. So we value the pro and the overseas. We've gone for a blend of trying to get one Australian between the two, because I think they add huge social value to your clubhouse, to your playing squad, and they've got this very candid point of view, which is can be quite cutting, but that's fine.
Great minds think alike, because I went down that route this year with Falmouth. We'd secured the services of an overseas amateur, totally by accident, but he was a teacher who was coming across to teach in the Manchester area from Victoria, so he's an Australian lad, and he sort of just reached out. I picked it up on the Falmouth group page, and the rest is history. So he was coming over as a teacher, as a supply teacher, wasn't even coming over for cricket, but when we sort of had a look at him, he looked like a good player. So again, hopefully he can come again next year. And but yeah, I mean, we've put the skids under the pro and the overseas this year for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Next one I want to sort of combat and ask about is T20 cricket. And I know this is something that's been embraced quite well at Tonge. And then before I go on to this, obviously, I think it's really important that people who are watching this know a little bit about Tonge. And, we're not under any illusions that Tonge have really struggled in recent years, for one reason or another, whether it be on the field, off the field, financially, what have you. But I think clubs need to realise that these situations go around in cycles. And I'm going to sit here and I'm going to say that Tonge, like it or lump it, were probably the powerhouse of the Bolton League for a long, long time. The best players, you talk about legends of cricket and legends of Bolton League cricket, pros. You could probably name a dozen that's played at Tonge, over the years. So I think it's really important that people know that, fingers crossed them days come back for you, Danny. And I think yourself, Paul, Gillian and others are going to take you on that journey. But it's very important that the viewers realise how big of a force Tonge were and hopefully will be in the future.
Yeah. Well, I'll start with the T20.
Yeah.
First. I've been watching all of your interviews over the period that you've been doing these, and what was nice was the recognition that you paid towards Little Lever for the Jubilee Trophy. Because a lot of people won't remember that. Clubs used to enjoy playing in that tournament. They definitely did.
Yeah.
So T20 for us, it is important. It adds a little bit of fun. I do believe, though, it takes away from sometimes it transcends the 50 over cricket, and therefore games get either finished early because people have thrown the wickets away, or they just think that they can smash every ball out of the ground and look at that six, and then they're out next ball.
Yeah.
So we've enjoyed it over the last few seasons. We've improved year on year on year, which is going back to what I said was about improvement, progressive improvement. I think we got to the quarterfinals last year.
I was just going to say, Tonge turned over some big sides over the last couple of years. I'd be lying if I didn't say it. There were shocks, I think. I think people turn up over the last few years thinking we're going to beat Tonge, and you've turned over some big sides, especially in the T20. And I was going to say that you got to the quarters or the semis one year.
Yeah, we got to the quarters last year. We played Lostock in a really entertaining quarter-final, to be honest. It was quite close, and we ran out of steam. And I think that was down to cricket maturity more than I think we threw the game away, personally.
Lostock are a good side. I was chatting with Danny Copton and Rob Holgate the other night, which will be urged soon. And they've been to 2 finals days recently, I think.
They're an impressive outfit.
Good side, especially T20. Good side.
Yeah, they are an impressive outfit. So we've got better. We've got a new sponsor this year for T20 and new kit, but that's obviously not been delivered yet. So we take it seriously. We enjoy it. Probably the challenge for us is having Friday, Saturday, Sunday cricket. We don't have a huge squad of players. We've all got different levels of commitment. And but I do know the lads have enjoyed it, and I was really, really pleased that you picked up on the Jubilee Trophy for Little Lever because, again, everybody used to enjoy that. I think
it's even before my time. I mean, I remember watching my old man playing the Jubilee Trophy, like late 80s, early 90s. So, people don't realise that T20 cricket, as new and as fresh as it is now, I think Little Lever were one of the first clubs to put it on the map.
Probably. But yeah, we over the last few years as well, as part of the T20 and the Cup competitions, we've drawn what I would arguably say the top 6 sides in the Bolton League on top of our league cricket. So we've had different opportunities to test ourselves, and yeah, we've turned some teams over. But I think that goes back to what you said about the cycle of teams and clubs. Tonge have gone through some real difficult times in the last 10 years. And Paul and Jill Schofield have, the effort levels and the work that family have put into keeping Tonge in existence is incredible, absolutely incredible. And they've devoted probably, I'd argue over 10 years of their life to just do Tonge Cricket Club, which, it's a lot. It's a lot for 2 people. And that includes Tom, the young groundsman, so to speak. He's not young now, but
don't call him young. He's not young.
Oh, he's not young.
You don't look young either. Let's have a pop at him.
And I've never met anybody that has a bad word or bad comment to say about Jill and Paul. But Tonge, it was once a powerhouse back in the day. Even when I was a junior cricketer at other clubs, it's not that powerhouse now. For all the reasons we've explored. Yeah. But the squad of players that we've got they've got ability and they're maturing with time. And I think now that 3 teams are dropping out of the league for the next season, I'm not sure on what the plans are, but I'll make a wild assumption that it'll be a 1 league tournament, if that's the right phrase. And Tonge would very much enjoy being part of that 1 league dimension. Because I think we can compete with 60 to 70% of the teams in the league. 30% probably just beyond our reach, let's be truthful. And if we beat them, it's a bit of a shocker, for that club. But I think, we certainly got ourselves into a place where we don't have to be frightened of playing other teams, thinking, God, we're going to be chasing leather for 50 overs and then we're going to be out for 60. Them days are gone.
Yeah. It's good to hear. And obviously, I've had many a game against Tonge in my younger playing days where we've been murdered off Tonge. So when I played my time at Heaton, it wasn't nice playing against Tonge because you just get murdered. So, again, it's that cycle thing. It's clubs being at the top and then down. And Falmouth are the same. Pre-2005, Falmouth weren't great. Ground wasn't great. Club wasn't great. Players weren't great. And again, a lot of effort's gone in there as well. And they've sort of turned it around. Had some great pros, some good players, won plenty trophies. It secured a fantastic groundsman in Jack Greasley, and he turned Falmouth around overnight. So, it's really important that people know where clubs were, where they are, and obviously where they're going to. Last question for you, Matt, if you don't mind.
Yeah, that's fine.
Current situation we find ourselves in with coronavirus, obviously it's impacted not just cricket, it's impacted the world. It's impacted absolutely everything that we do from day to day, even to me and you now being on a video rather than being sat, with a pint having a chat. What do you think it's done to cricket at our level, and what do you think it will do in the future, if anything?
I think the obvious one is in the short term, and it won't just be the short term, it'll be the medium to long for some clubs. The financial impact, it cannot be understated. Some clubs will absolutely come out of this in tatters, and some will just come out of it surviving, and with the odd one or two that come out actually okay. I think, going back to what I said, where it's brought the seniors close together at our club, I think the lads won't take it for granted. The decisions that sometimes are, can I play, can I not, shall I let my teammates down? I think them days will still exist, but I think they'll significantly reduce because of what's occurred. But you know, as my gran will tell you, she's 97 and she'll, you know, she's seen not 2 world wars, the back of one, been through another, and she's seen tougher times. You know, all we're doing is realistic for staying in. You know, it's not beyond the realm of man that we'll be playing some cricket this year. How that looks is open for debate. But I truly believe that we will play cricket this year.
Well, yeah, I mean, me and you both. I'm hopeful. I keep looking at all these updates, but you know, from the Prime Minister and his staff, and you know, pretty sadly looking at other countries' exit strategies in terms of amateur sport. And there's been a few released recently, and sort of gets your hopes up, thinking we might get something in. But obviously, you know, we're into May now. You know, and hopefully, whether it be June, July, or August, there's a plan, and we can get some sort of meaningful cricket and get us all sort of back. And you know, hopefully, this situation puts us in a stronger position for years to come. In a weird, you know, sort of way. Hopefully, it makes people realise what they've got and to cherish it.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about, you know, you talked about 2020 cricket before, and you know, if you put politics aside and just move them to the side for a minute, you know, given the current situation, is it unreasonable for us to, as a league, to invite clubs that have formally and contributed to World League cricket over time, that have left, to come and join a 2020 tournament, such as the Jubilee Trophy, for example, whatever that looks and feels like? Because those clubs that have left the league have done it for their own reasons. What value that's added to them cricket clubs, I don't know, because I've not asked anybody what tangibly what values they added. But would it add more value to the World League 2020 if we cordially invited Edgerton, Greenmount, et al. To come and join,
etc.
Yeah, you know, at the end of the day, if you move the politics aside, then you know, is that beyond the realm of man? And listening to John Hutchinson's view on the Bolton Berry junior cricket situation, I think there's mileage in that, and you know, I'd urge the exec board to explore that, not to wait, but to get on with it.
I think John's pretty passionate to jump on that, pretty sharpish really, because you know, it's all right, us old lot, you know, and I'm even going to put myself in the old lot category. But you know, we have a duty to our juniors. We have a duty to the future of local cricket to future-proof it. And I think if we're going to future-proof junior cricket, you know, promoting our senior cricket in years to come, something like a Bolton and Bury District Junior League, it doesn't matter what it's called. It's irrelevant that, you know, at the end of the day, putting good junior cricket together with a proper structure and an administration that can cope with something like that, it can only be good.
Yeah, no, I agree. Do agree.
Danny, thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate you speaking to me. Obviously, this will go out on all social media channels with the rest of the videos that I've done. Tracy and the rest of the exec guys who look after the social media channels will pump it out when I send them the link. So, you know, last thing is just to thank you. Danny Delvard of Tonge Cricket Club. Thanks, mate.
Thank you. Cheers.
No problem. Cheers, bud.